Yeah, so let's start. So how many of you have tried actually going back yesterday and enabling your virtualization in your systems? Was it successful, or you're going to try this weekend? Okay, successful, good. So yeah, so if you're facing any issues, you can you can try out the weekend and you can let me know. Yeah, good. So we are going to go through Linux fundamentals today. I'll explain you how to install a VM, and we'll see what are the basic Linux commands, Linux structure. This is going to be really helpful because wherever you go, you cannot escape from Linux. It's going to be there everywhere. Okay, it will be helpful for Docker, Kubernetes, and a lot of other places. So let us start. You just stop me wherever you are not understanding. If you have any queries, you just unmute yourself and stop me. Okay, now how does a Linux VM boot? What is the booting process of a Linux? Now, when yesterday you went to a console where you had to enable virtualization, right? The console was called as BIOS, that is basic input output system. And that's where the configuration, the settings related to your laptop or computer are there. So you can set, like, these are the settings for motherboard. Okay, when we talk about hardware, so this comes with your motherboard, the BIOS settings. Okay, now on top of this, once you have the motherboard, you have the system, you can choose to install an operating system. You can choose, either you can go with Windows operating system or Linux operating system to be installed. Now let us suppose that you want to install an Linux operating system. Okay, then what does this BIOS do? As soon as you power on your computer, the first thing, as soon as you power on, it executes a command which executes BIOS. Okay, so BIOS is a program which is already present on your motherboard, and it gets automatically executed as soon as you power on your system. Okay, if you are from electronics background, you might have read about different kind of microprocessors and microcontrollers. So it is just like a small chip which is executing commands which are already present. BIOS comes with the motherboard. Okay, now once your your BIOS executes, now your BIOS will execute the next command. So once you have the BIOS menu, BIOS will execute the next commands to load the OS. So if there is no OS, your laptop won't boot. So you need to tell BIOS that where is the OS. Okay, so when you first format your laptop, what you do is you get a USB drive which is formatted with Windows OS or Linux OS. Okay, and then you go to the BIOS and you tell BIOS to boot from a particular disk, like you boot from a pen drive. So then what BIOS does is it executes the pen drive's first memory address, first address. Okay, and then you can install your operating system. Okay, so once you install your operating system, what does installation means? From your pen drive, whatever you made that pen drive as bootable. Okay, from your pen drive or CD drive, if you are from, like, if you've seen a decade ago, we used to boot from CD. So from your external drives, the OS is written on your hard disk. Okay, so when you're first installing your machine, what happens? You go to the BIOS, you tell that you install it from external drive, you give either a CD or a pen drive. Okay, now once you give that address, what your BIOS installation will do, it will install from that external drive onto your hard disk. Okay, now our hard disk is entirely formatted. By formatting, what do I mean? It will create sectors on the hard disk. Okay, and you can imagine it as an address mesh, boxes. You can imagine it as sectors on a disk. Okay, and in each sector it will write the operating system code. Okay, so you can logically divide those sectors into C drive, D drive, E drive when it comes to Windows. Okay, and on this, the first, like wherever the addressing starts no, so each sector will have its own address. So wherever it starts, that is called, the first code is called MBR, master boot record. So when you first format from your pen drive, the entire operating system is formatted to your hard disk. Okay, now you have removed your pen drive. Now you need to tell your BIOS that please boot from C drive or please boot from hard disk. Okay, now when you again power on your system after installation, you remove pen drive and you again power on. This time, once you power on, your BIOS will get executed. If you see the order on the screen, your BIOS will get executed. After that, BIOS will execute MBR, that is master boot record. Okay, and this MBR is the first address or first code present on your hard disk. In case of Windows, it is called a C drive. So it will execute the C drive code. In case of Linux, it is called, it is still called MBR. Linux also has MBR, and it will be present on different drive. The drive structure is a little bit different. I will explain you when I am explaining the structure of Linux. Okay. Now this MBR is again a code. It is generally it's 445 bytes, or these days it's changed, but generally it's small byte of code where it knows where the rest of the code is, rest of the operating system is. So this booting process of Windows or Linux, what both of the or any other OS, is sequential execution of codes. When I say execution, it takes codes from somewhere and it will give it to the CPU. It will give it to the processor to process it. Okay, and processor requires memory to process it. Getting my point? So we're talking on a very fundamental hardware level now. So what happens, as soon as you power on your system, BIOS will get executed, BIOS code. Okay, and from BIOS code, your MBR will get executed. When you want, if you have to format something, you need to tell that, okay, take the image from external disk, like pen drive or CD disk. But when you're booting it for the second time, it will automatically take the disk, because you have to point it to there. You have to give in BIOS setting. Now once this MBR is executed, in case of Linux, MBR knows where the grub is. Grub is a bootloader. Okay, now we'll see how grub menu looks exactly. Okay, so grub is a bootloader which MBR executes, and then it is a piece of code. It has lot of functions. It has lot of settings that we can perform on a grub menu. Grub menu, we get a grub menu where we can do a lot of functions. I'll explain you. And then this grub executes the kernel. Kernel is the heart of an operating system. So all your processes, input processes, output processes, file writing, file reading. So it has a lot of components. The kernel architecture, you can go and refer to kernel architecture. What does a Linux kernel do? And you will get to know the functionalities of the kernel. So it is responsible for doing OS call, function calls. The kernel is the one which is responsible for interacting with the hardware. It interacts with memory, it interacts with CPU, it interacts with disk. Yes, Gautami. You have any query? Or shall we continue? Okay, you just type it. Let's continue. So kernel is the one which interacts with the, it is the interaction between user and OS. Suppose you want to create a file, you type in your console that create a file. There are commands for it, like touch space abc.txt. You want to create a abc.txt file. Okay, so in Linux you use a command called touch, touch space abc.txt. Then the kernel is the one, the OS, the heart of the kernel, is responsible for interacting with your hardware and placing the file where it should be placed on hard disk. You're getting my point? Next, it loads init. The kernel loads init. Init is the one. Init is the first process in a Linux booting. So if you see, every process will have a process ID, and init is the first process. This is the first process which is responsible for starting all other processes. So a process must be started. So if you open your in Windows, if you go and check your task manager, there will be a lot of processes running. So similarly in Linux also there will be a lot of processes running. So but this init process is the one which is responsible for starting all other processes. So this is the first process which the kernel starts, and this is responsible for starting all other processes, and this executes run levels. So in Linux we have something called run levels. Like in Windows we have options like safe boot. If something goes wrong, okay, we get into safe boot. So similarly in Linux we have run levels. So what are run levels? It is how you want the operating system to boot. Suppose in Linux we can boot for boot with GUI. If you want GUI, we can boot with GUI. If you don't want GUI, we can boot without GUI. Okay, and if you don't want network access, we can boot without GUI and without network access. Okay, suppose you have very critical data. Okay, for example, data of defense or ISRO data. So all those systems, few systems, if they're storing really critical data, they don't want it to be on network because there will be high chances of it getting hacked. So in those scenarios, they don't boot it up with network. They just boot it up. So in those scenarios there are different run levels, and even we can customize the run levels. So run levels is nothing but how you want the OS to boot up. Suppose if you can even customize it, so you can tell that, okay, I want GUI but I don't want network. So you can configure. Then what will Linux do? Linux will just execute the processes or code which is responsible for giving run levels, which is responsible for giving OS, and it will not execute the code which is responsible for giving network. Then you will get GUI and you will not get network. Okay, so that's how run levels are there. We'll just get into it and we'll see how this happened. Okay. So once you have, I hope you have downloaded that yesterday CentOS image that I have shared. So if not, you can download it anytime. And once you download that image, you can, there's one more thing that you have to download, that is Oracle VM VirtualBox Manager. Okay. Remember yesterday we discussed that there will be a hypervisor. So this is an sample hypervisor. Okay. So this Oracle, using this, you can create VMs on top of. So this is my laptop. I want to create VMs on top of it. Okay. So I want a hypervisor. So there are multiple options. It is we have Hyper-V from Windows, we have VMware, and we have this Oracle VirtualBox. So for this demo purpose, I am using Oracle VirtualBox. I will give you a link. You can download this Oracle VirtualBox. It is very simple tool. Okay, and then all you have to do is you have to have the disk ready, OS disk downloaded. So here what you have to do is you need to click on new. Okay, whatever I'm showing, please do it over weekend for your practice, because these VMs we will need for Docker and Kubernetes. These are the VMs we will be using for explaining Docker and Kubernetes, so that you will not have problem when we're discussing AKS in Azure. So each and every step that you're doing here will have a reference to Azure. We are creating a VM here. Once you are practice this thoroughly, while creating VM in Azure, you will be able to correlate. Okay, this is what was happening on premise, and this is how it happens in Azure. And when you pick up any other cloud, you'll just have to look for things while creating. For example, let's see. Let us give a VM name saying demo VM, because I already created one test VM, demo VM 01. Okay, and I can define where to keep it. So if you don't want to keep it in C drive, you can simply choose one more file and create a VMs folder in it, and you can choose that folder so that all VMs are in one folder for you. You need to give which type of OS you want to install. So we want to install Linux type, so you can give CentOS is not available here. Either you can choose Red Hat here because CentOS is similar to Red Hat, or you can choose any other Linux 64-bit. Okay, then the next that it is asking us is RAM. Okay, and be very sure here because this is the total RAM available on the system. It shows, see, the total RAM of my system is 12 GB. Okay, so I will allocate 1/3 of it almost. So if your RAM is 8 GB, you can allocate up to 2 GB of RAM to this VM. Don't allocate more, else your your base might start getting hang. If you have more, you can give more. So allocate almost 1/4 of it to the RAM size. So your VM, so this much of RAM will be taken out from your base, from your laptop base OS, and it will be given to this VM to function. You getting my point? So next it will ask, do you want to create a hard disk? Okay, or you want to add an hard disk. Since you do not have any hard disk, you have to create it. So just go here, you can select different types of images here. You have to select this VHD format. We generally use it. You can go with other formats as well, but we go with VHDs because it is easy to transport. Like I can give you my VHD and you can put it in your laptop and it will boot up with all the files that I have. Okay, and there will be two options: dynamically allocate or fixed size. So what is dynamically allocate? So if you are planning to give, let us suppose I'm planning to give 8 GB to the hard disk. So this hard disk of 8 GB space will be given for this VM to function. Okay, or if you want to give suppose 20 GB, so this 20 GB will be given for this VM. But if you select dynamically allocate this size, it will give you whatever is required till you reach 20 GB. Like it will allocate for suppose it will allocate 6 GB now. Okay, rest it will be there for your base OS. And if you put files in the VM, it will increase till 20 GB. It will take out from your base OS and it will give it till 20 GB. But if you select fixed size, it will straight away allocate 20 GB from your base operating system. So I'll suggest dynamically allocate because we might not be using so much of hard disk space. Okay, and then it is, you can select your 8 GB, 10 GB, 12 GB. So I think 8 GB is good enough for now. You can select 8 GB. You can type here. Okay, now create. So now you have a VM here, demo VM with some RAM, 3 GB of 2 GB of RAM, and you have 2600 MB of RAM, and you have 8 GB of hard disk. Now you have to go to settings. Okay, now you'll have different types of settings. You can do storage settings, audio settings, network settings. Don't do any network settings. We don't need as of now. Whatever is there, let it be NAT only. Don't disturb that. What you have to do, as I have explained, first thing that you do when you freshly format a laptop, what do you do? So this is a new laptop for you. Okay, it has RAM, a new desktop for you, what your personal computer. Okay, it has RAM, it has CPU. CPU will be allocated at runtime. It has hard disk. Now what you have to do, now you have to boot it. So what is that you do for booting? Generally you take a pen drive with bootable image, bootable pen drive of your operating system. Oracle VM Manager, is it a software to be deployed on VM? No. You have to install in your base. Since it is a hypervisor, you have to have it in your base machine, wherever you are having, wherever you are attending machine from. Okay, you are attending meeting from. So wherever you are attending meeting from, you just have to install it there. Then we will have, using that we will have a VM. So you have to open. You will not see this test VM. This is because I created. You can create a demo VM, and then you have to go to settings. So what is the first thing that you do when you boot a fresh VM or boot a fresh OS? You have to give a bootable disk or ISO image, or you need to attach CD. So what you do is you go to this empty portion here, and you just search for choose a disk file, Okay, go for your DVD that you would have downloaded. It will be around 6 yesterday I pinged, right? Just have to open it and it will attach. Click on live CD DVD and it will attach. Now you have to click on, now you have to save this settings. Click on OK. Okay, now what you have to do is you have to start the VM. Okay, so guys, you're getting right. So hypervisor enables us to create VMs on top of our laptops. So imagine that you have big servers, so we might create different, like multiple VMs for our use. You getting it? So yeah, so this is how you will get a screen when you start the VM. So once you click inside, your cursor will disappear. So to get your cursor again, you need to click Control. Okay, just don't panic. You have to click inside. First, you need to select first option. You can use, once you click inside, you can use your keyboard. You will not have access to your mouse. Similarly, in BIOS, you did not have access to your mouse, right? You did everything with keyboard. So similarly, here you need to press up arrow. Your install CentOS Linux will get highlighted. Just have to click enter on that. Okay, and then if you want to take out your cursor out, you just have to press Control and your cursor will come out. Okay, from that, it will take some time. So that's why I kept a VM already booted for you, so that we don't waste time in booting. Yeah, so you will get this screen. You need to select the language that you want to continue with. You need to select English. Just click on continue. Yeah, click on it. And then you'll get this next screen. So in this screen, you have to do some basic things. That is, you need to select where to install this OS. You remember, right? See, last time when you put your pen drive to your laptop to install a fresh OS, from there you need to select on which drive it should go. In case when you are booting up your Windows machine, you have to select that, okay, boot it up with C drive. So okay, so similarly in Linux, all you have to do is click on that and you see it will automatically show SDA. So these are the notations that we use in Linux: SDA, SDB, SDC, SDD, like C, D, E, F drives. We have SDA, SDB, SDC, like that. So it will be automatically selected, and you remember we gave 8 GB for the hard disk, so it will show that. You just have to click on done. Okay, don't have to click anything, so that it installs the OS on that part of the disk. Okay, as of now I'm not configuring network. I will show you later how to configure network when we will be thorough with the networking concepts. Okay, let the time and date be however it is. Just let's focus more on the Linux commands. So it will start installation. So all you have to do here is you just have to click on root, give some password which you remember. Okay, it could be easy also, but as you know, nobody will connect to your. So this password in root is like administrator in Windows. Okay, in Windows you have administrator, right? Run as admin. So you need to click multiple times done there. So similarly, root is the super user. There is nothing that root does not have privileges to do. Root can do anything. Okay, and click on create user. You can give your full name, or you can just create test user one. We okay, and give some password. But we'll be using mostly. So once you do this, it'll install in. Let it be there for installation. I will just show you from the other VM that I've already booted up. So once installation is done, it will ask you for reboot, and then it will ask you for a couple of options, which I will show you once it's booted. Meanwhile, let me open. So it will, after booting it, this is how it looks. You just have to click and scroll above. You have to click and scroll above to get this console. You can log in as another user if you have other users. Click on login as not listed. If you, it will show you the user that you created. You click on not listed and give username as root, so that you log in as root. Okay, and give password that you gave while booting, and you will have this. You just go to activities and open terminal. Okay, I will try to share another screen so that it will be visible. This screen is a bit big. 1 second. Yeah, is it visible now properly? Team? Team, is it visible now? Like, can you see it properly? Is it big enough that you can see what am I typing? You can see, right, the commands that I'm typing, because this is important. You have to see and you need to practice these commands. Okay, okay, yeah. So once you get into it, cd is a command for changing the directory. Cd, when you do, so you will be in a path called, if you do pwd, you will get the path. Where are you currently? Okay, where is that you are currently working? pw is present working directory. It will give you the path in which you are currently in. So this path really matters, like whatever functions you're doing, where are you doing, it depends on pwd. So currently since we logged in as root, it is in /root. /root is the home folder or home directory of the root user. So in your C drive, you under users, you will have a folder created on your name, right? In Windows. So similar to that, you will have folder created in /home for whatever user you have created. So all your files, suppose test is my user, cd test. If you log in with test, so you can log in from here in test. So what all you have to do is switch user. Su means switch user test. If you do switch user test, you will be logged in as test. So where you will be? You will be in /home folder. Okay, when you log in as test. If you do cd tilt sign is the first on your keyboard, wherever your numbers start. No, the first key is the tilt key. If you do cd tilt key, it will take you to the home folder of the user in which you are logged into. Suppose if I exit from here, then I will be logged into root. From root I logged in as test user, right? So in root, if you do cd tilt, you will be taken to /root, because it is the home folder of root. Now if you do cd slash, you will be in slash is the topmost in directory structure, the folder structure. So everything is a file in Linux. All even folders are as files in Linux. So slash is the topmost directory structure. If you do ls means list whatever is there in slash, you will get all these things. So you will have a bin folder in slash, you will have dev folder, you will have home folder, you will have lib64 folder, you will have mnt, proc, run, svc. So each folder will have their own purpose. So for example, home folder has all the home all the directories for home directories for each user. For example, if I create a user in home folder, a folder will be created for that user. So whatever the user works, he can put it in home. Okay, in bin we have all the executables. So let me just open a ppt. Okay, so this has come here. Let me share you that screen. Let us just understand the Linux structure. Once your Linux is booted, you will see a structure like this in slash. Are you able to see my screen? The one that we saw there, it is similar to this. So this changes from flavor to flavor. So Linux, we have multiple flavors. So Red Hat, CentOS, Kali Linux. So a slight change will be there from flavor to flavor, but the core is going to be same. Everything will have a slash, that is the topmost root directory in the file system. And then we will have /bin, which will have essential user command binaries. So whatever we put right now, we did pwd, we did ls means list whatever is there, we did cd. So all these commands, there will be binaries which must be executed. Once you type a command, there should be a code which must be executed in backend. So all this code is kept in bin. Okay, next in boot /boot, there will be a boot folder in which all the boot files are there, like grub will be there. Okay, whatever it is required for, the run levels will be there. So whatever is required while booting up, all the files will be there in boot. Okay, in /dev, device files will be there. So whenever you attach a cd or whenever you attach a pen drive, so it will be mounted in /dev. For example, if you attach a pen drive to your Windows laptop, it is created as Z drive, or you can choose a drive, right? F drive, D drive, E drive. So similarly, it will be mounted in div. So if you go to cd/dev/your pen drive name, you will be able to see the contents of your pen drive. Okay, in /etc, host specific system configurations are there. Okay, for example, network configurations, okay, or whatever configurations required for the core system to process, all those configurations will be there. So when we go through multiple processes, we'll be able to see what kind of files will be there in etc. Okay, in lib there will be essential library files. In media, your removable medias are attached, like when you attach a cd, like when we attach the iso, so those things will be mounted to media. mnt, it's a temporary file system. When we'll be going through Azure, I'll explain you, Azure mounts something to /mnt, some disk for backup and all. So it's a temporary thing to mount. Okay, what is mounting? I'll explain you on Monday's class. We'll be discussing, going through disk management. We will see how to attach a disk, format a disk, and we'll see how to mount a disk to a folder, unmount it. So we'll see all that in Monday's class. So there I'll explain you what is mounting. Next, OPT, there will be some add-on application related. If you have, so there's few specific applications. If you install few, the files related to that will be in OPT. SBIN, again, system binaries. SRV, data for services are stored, services related files are stored here. Temporary files are stored here, there'll be a lot of temp files created if when a process runs. Like Docker also creates a lot of temp files. Those things will be stored here. USR will have user related binaries which will be run, like for each user. If you customize something, if it has to be run for that specific user, so all these things will be there in /usr. /var, all the variable files will be there. This is the folder in which you can check the logs. Okay, so if you have some process, HTTP process, you have to check the log, then you have to just go to var. You will have logs for all processes. Even system logs will be there. You can check what happened to system. So when you have to troubleshoot, when you are there in, when you have to troubleshoot something in project, then this is the place where you have to go and check for the logs for that particular process. You will be able to know what is the problem, whether it's a permission issue or what issue it is. Then /root, it is home directory for the root user, as I already told. And /proc, it is just virtual file document for kernel related process. So kernel related files are stored there. Okay, so once you install your own VM, go through each of these folder and try to see what is there. Just try to take a sneak peek into each folder, and you will you'll be able to gain knowledge on it. Okay, you have to read a lot, because I cannot be explaining each and every folder here, but you have to read on your own. I can give you direction. Okay, so each folder here will have its own purpose. So you get into, yes, anyone have doubt? Hello. Okay, so if you have any doubt, like, you can unmute yourself again. I just muted you again, so that, like, muted you, maybe thinking that it was a no by mistake. Yeah. So let us see where it booted. The installation is going on for the VM that we created there. It will take time for you as well. Don't worry. Yeah. So if you go to /etc, all you have to do is cd that folder. You have to do ls. You will get all the folders. If you want to see what are this, you see here cd grub. grub.d. Okay, it will have all the boot related files. cd/ clear. So if you type clear, it will be cleared. Okay, now how do you create a file? Suppose you are in cd tilt, if you give, you go to / that root. Okay, here I want to create a file. So you create it by using touch space abc.txt. Suppose you want to create a text file. Okay, or there is one more. If you do ls, you can see your, if you do ls, you can see your file. You see, right, abc.txt. There is another way of creating it. If you use vim, vim is a file editor, like notepad in your Windows. We have vim in Linux. If you do vim abc.txt, it will open the file for editing. Okay, and this is very important, you see here, because when you might have to edit a lot of files, so people generally get confused on how to come out of vim editor, how to get into it. So I'll explain you the modes which are there. So there's another way of creating file. If you're not using touch, you can directly use vim pqr.txt. If you do vim, it will automatically create a file and it will open it. Okay, so both ways are there, but whenever someone in interview asks you how do you create a file, you have to always tell that creation of file is using touch. Okay, VIM is for editing. So but even if you use VIM and file name, if file is not there, it will create a file. Let us open pqr.txt. So in the file, you can see in the bottom, always when you are in VIM editor, you have to remember that you see this bottom line. Okay, here you will get which mode are you in. This is just open mode. Okay, you cannot type in it. Even if you try typing, okay, it will be, it will get into the first letter will be skipped, and it will understand that you want to type something, and then it will start typing. So once you open the file, first thing that you have to do, suppose you have to insert it, then you have to type I in your keyboard. Okay, if you type I, it will go to insert mode. You can see insert is written in the bottom right. Okay, then you can type something, hello world. Okay, then you have to press enter to type other things. Okay, now if you have to save it and exit properly from here, then what you have to do, you have to go to first escape mode, press escape, your insert mode is vanished. Okay, then you have to press colon WQ. If you type colon WQ, then it will write the content to the file, and then it will quit. W is for writing, Q is for quitting. So if you type WQ and enter, it will write it in the file and it will quit. So again, when you open, your contents will be there. For example, if I want to type something else, okay, here if I press escape and give colon and I give Q, I don't want to save it, then you just have to add exclamatory, because it is giving us an warning that the content won't be saved. So if I add exclamatory, I don't want to save it, then it will be forcefully exited without saving it. So it should always be WQ. It should not be QW, because it will first quit and then write. No, it should be first write and quit. Get into insert mode. Okay, so these are basic. So any file, if you have to edit, you have to go and search for here. But if you have some bigger files, there are a lot of commands in VIM. You can go through it in the internet, tricks to get into VIM editor. Suppose 1 2 3 4 5 AB. So you have a big file and you want to search something in the file. Okay, you have to open the file. All you have to do is give / I want to search 1 2 3, enter. Then it will take you to the line where 1 2 3 is written. Or I want to search SAD, then it will take you to the lines where it is there, and you can type N for next. N, if you type next, it will give you where next it is written. Okay, so this is simply for searching. Okay, so you have to practice all this. I'll just quit from this queue, and this is an demo of just VIM editor. So I want you to get into it, VIM editor, and you search in Google what are else. There are multiple commands of O, escape, shift G, small g, double G. So all that you practice it over the weekend. It will be helpful, really helpful for you when you are working with Linux, because you might have to edit a number of files, save a number of files. So that is what VIM editor is, the one which you will be using for sure. Okay, this is the most popular editor. Next, how do you create a user in Linux? Okay, all you have to do is user add. Let us add a user called demo user 1. Okay, if you have to log in with root for that, and the user is added. Okay, how do you check user is added? cd/home, or you can do ls/home, so that in home the directory will be created. The home directory for that user is created. Now you can switch user demo user. Okay, now you are logged in as demo user. Since you are in root, you do not have permission. You have to do cd tilt, so that you go to your home folder and you do ls. Nothing will be there because you did not create anything. Now how do you change password for this demo user? So either you log in with demo user and say pass wd, enter, then it will ask for password for demo user that we want to give some password, pass comma 123. Okay, you remember one thing, when we logged in from root to demo user, it did not ask us for password, or not did it ask while creating, because root is the ultimate authority to create user, but we have to give password for it to log in. So either you log in there and create password and exit, or you can go to root, pass wd and give username. It will reset password for that user, but I don't want it now because I already set from root. Okay, let us create one more user at demo user 2. Okay, from root let us give a password. You can give a password. Okay, so it is updated. Now what I'll do, I'll switch user to demo user 1. Okay, and from here I will try to switch user to, it will ask for password because demo user 1 is not the root user. So for demo user 1 to be able to log into demo user 2, it requires password. So I will just give the password for demo user 2. Now you can see I am logged into demo user 2. You're getting my point? So I created demo user from root. I can get into any user without password, but from within user, from demo user 1 to demo user 2, again vice versa, from demo user 2 to demo user 1, I will require password to login because they are not root. We can give a user root privileges. Suppose I can make demo user 1 as root, like I can give it root privileges in sudo users file is there, we have to do it there, but generally we don't do it because in Linux, like root is the ultimate power. You cannot give a user that power, so that he will be able to stop or start or any processes. So he will get ultimate, to even delete all the data. You can wipe out entire operating system. So if you go, so let us exit from here. Demo user 1, you have root cd tilt ls, you have files. How do you delete a file? Rm space file name abc.txt. Be very cautious while using rm command, because in Linux, once you delete a file or a folder, there is no way you can get your data back. In Windows you will have a recycle bin, but in Linux there is no way that you are going to get your data back. Okay, so when you are in crucial production servers, before executing rm command, you think 1,000 times and execute it, because once you delete a file, okay, if you don't need a file, you can put it in separate folder like backup folder or archive folder. You create a folder and put it, unless and until it is very crucial to delete something, don't use this rm command to delete it. Okay, because you cannot get the data back. Okay, now suppose, how do we create a folder? mkdir. So clear, right guys? Any doubts till now? Are you following me, or am I going too fast, guys? Guys, are you following me, right? You can unmute and hello. Yeah, okay, good. So yeah, let us see how do we create a folder. All you have to do is mkdir abc. You do ls, you will see abc folder. Cd abc, mkdir pqr. Okay, so ls pqr, cd pqr, I will do pwd. So I am in root abc pqr folder. I'll create touch abc.txt here. Okay, ls, so pwd abc.txt, it is there in this folder. Now I'll go back. Folder creation is simple, abc. Now how do I delete this abc? So in abc there is pqr, and again abc.txt is there. So in rm command, I need to use few command line arguments. You can think it of like command line arguments in Linux. Whenever you use a command, there will be arguments you can pass with it. So rm space hyphen r, it will delete whatever I'm going to delete recursively. Hyphen r means recursively. Recursively means if I give hyphen r space abc, it will delete abc, pqr, whatever is there under abc, it will delete. And if I give rf, if something needs to be deleted forcefully, okay, it will delete it. So if I just give this command, you will not have abc folder at all. Okay, so we have to be very cautious with this command, because if you give this command rm space hyphen rf slash, what will happen if I execute this command with only slash? Any guesses? It will delete my entire operating system. That is why root is so powerful. It will delete the entire operating system on top of which it is executing. I can execute this because since it is a VM, I can create one more. But you have to be really cautious, because what if by mistake you press an enter and the entire operating system will be gone if you just execute that. Okay, so be cautious when you use it. And how do you create recursively? If you've seen, I have created mkdir abc, then I used mkdir pqr. So what if I have to do, I know that I have to create two folders, then I can do hyphen p abc pqr slash pqr. So I'll have abc folder, inside that I'll have pqr folder. You getting it? So these are few basic commands that we are seeing here. Okay, now I want you to practice all these things over the weekend. Now, how do you create a group? Okay, in you can group few users. Suppose you have different teams. You want that, okay, one team is HR team and one is developer team, one is testing team. Okay, so you have to create groups so that you can add users to that group. So the command is group add, let us say team 1. So a group is created in team 1. Okay, now let me tell you about few files which will have these users and groups. So all that will be there in etc/etc passwd. Oh, sorry, cd/etc. You can do vim passwd, or I will do directly from my root vim/etc passwd. This means what? This file vim, I'm opening a file in etc folder. Okay, so this passwd is the file which will have details of all the users. The first entry is root user. So each process will require different users for them to operate. Like bin will have a root user, even shutdown, halt, every command will have its user, and it uses that user to run that process. Every process will have. At the end, you see there are 3 users now: test, demo user 1, demo user 2. These are the users that we created. Okay, and okay, and the next one is group id and user id. So this 1000, you see 1000, 1001, 1002, these are user ids and group ids for those users. So whenever you create a user, automatically a group is created with this name. So a demo user 1 is a user as well, and it is a group also. Whenever you create a user in Linux, a group is created with its name. For example, if I create a Phanindra user, a Phanindra user is also there, and a group will also be there with Phanindra. You can add users to my group. Then whatever I am able to access, everyone will be able to access, because we both will be in same group. It is required, it is important while using permissions. Okay, and then it will give the home folder of that user. So it is home folder is /home/demo user1 or demo user2, and then it will give you the shell which it uses. So bin bash, there are multiple types of shells. What is shell? So whatever you see here, red terminal, it is also a process. We call it as shell in Linux. So there are types of shell where you can have types of commands. So whatever I do know, ls, cd, each and every command that I'm giving, ls or cd something, so all these are executed by the shell. So what shell we are using here? It is bin bash shell for our users. And you can see here few other users, there is no login shell, /sbin/no login, means these users won't be able to log in. These users are only for processes. Again, root has having bin bash because we log in and we have to type some commands. So if you want to create a user for process, a process should be run by a particular user, you can give no login so that nobody can log in using that user. Only processes can run. Okay, and that's why Linux is, so much. They say that Linux is safer than Windows. This is the reason, because there are a lot of things that you cannot achieve, cannot do. Like you cannot log into that user using, because it has no login shell. So you cannot hack something if a process is running with a no login shell. Okay, I want you to practice all this, read more about it, get into even details of it. Okay, I'm just giving you an overview heads up. Okay, are you getting my points? So where is the user details stored when a user is created? This is a very good interview question. Generally they ask, where the user details are stored when you create a user in Linux? The answer is the details are stored in passwd file. So, but where is the password stored? Have you seen any password getting stored here? You don't see any password, right? So don't go by the name that since it is a passwd file, password will be there. No, password is not stored in passwd file. Password is stored in one more file called shadow. So in shadow file, passwords are stored and it is encrypted. It is encrypted in MD5 type of encryption. Okay, you see here, whatever you see, right, after colon, after test colon $6, whatever you see till 0 is the password. Okay, I don't know, demo user 1 password is not updated, demo user 2 we have updated password. Okay, you getting it? So this, I think demo user 1, because I created password from logging into demo user 1, it does not have privileges to update here. Once we create it from root, it will be updated in demo user 1. So where does the password saved? Password for all the users in Linux are stored in etc shadow file in MD5 encryption format. And if you want to check if a user is having password or not, you can go here and check. Okay, you getting me, guys? So we have seen today basic commands, Linux installation. Actually, I kept it for installation, that other box. It is still installing. It is just configuring. It will take some more time. So after this, you will get one box to check license. It will just say, prompt you that check the license. You just have to click on checkbox and accept it. So once you accept it, you will be able to log in. Okay. I think we should stop here, because I think it's too much of data to be processed. I wanted to take permissions also today, but I will take permissions on Monday, so that permissions of a file and folder that I'll take on Monday, because else it will be too much of data overload. Is it okay, guys? So over the weekend, what you have to do, you have to boot a VM all by yourself. Okay, if possible, boot multiple VMs. Do it 3-4 times. Good to go. Practice commands, create users, see the directory structure, create few files, log into the file, edit files, check VIM editors, check what else we can do with the VM editor. Okay, that's it. You do this much and keep it. Monday we'll check about permissions. Okay, yeah. Thank you so much, guys.